What's poppin', y'all? The biggest Drake haters, even worse than Kendrick Lamar stans, are trying to switch up right now. And one of them is Ebro, that's trying to rewrite history. Because first, let's actually run the clip, because Ebro was calling somebody a cancer. I mean, he was calling some, like, yo, Young Thug said F cancer, shout out to Boosie. So we don't mess with cancer over here. But he called him that, and he walked it back months later.
Drake is not that important. The reason Drake's in this is because he is a sickness in the game. Mm-hmm. It could have been any artist. It's what Drake represents. We've been saying this for months.
I'm one of the people that, even though I think Drake made mistakes, we're not going to sit in this room and act like bro hasn't delivered a ton of hit songs that we all love. Let's not do that. Now,
wait, since or just overall?
No, in general. Like, he's not capable of
that.
delivering songs that we all love. Like,
I mean, lately he hasn't, but yes.
No, we all like Nokia. Who in this room didn't like Nokia, bro?
I like Nokia.
I think he'll be fine. Look, it'll never be. Nothing was the same, but, I think he'll be all right.
I think he will be too.
Yeah, I think he'll be.
So this is just embarrassing. Like, you could just see the level of vitriol that he was putting out there. And some people say, that's a little bit hyperbole. I don't really think it's hyperbole when you listen. And keep in mind, Ebro's job for decades has been words. Not only is it listening to rap, not only has he lived through damn near every golden age of rap, even if you contest that 2010s, I'm raising my hand here and saying 2010s was the golden age, the real golden age, where you had the perfect mix of quality, diversity of music, and just peak. You could get anything at peak in 2010s. 2000s, I remember it fondly, but you just look at the top 2010s albums of rap and compare them to the 90s, and the 90s don't even hold up, especially if you didn't live through it. You just take somebody blank slate, you're like, hey, listen to these, they're picking the 2010s. But I'm deviating a little bit. Okay, you don't got to yell at me, you don't got to yell at your screen or your phone. I'll get back to it. So Ebro knows the impact that it has when he says something like that. Like, you really hate this guy. That's what you're describing. And it's funny because even Laura would approach him in their show, because this was in 2025, the Apple Music thing, when he talks about Nokia. So Drake just dropped a hit and this guy switched up. But she would call him out.
What's going on in society and whatever in your music. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, that's fine too.
You were a little bit more aggressive than that.
Yeah, I was like, of course, because why are you talking?
Yeah, your whole thing was he has never said anything about Black Americans. I believe you said something along those lines.
He's never had anything to say about what Black Americans are going through.
So, yeah. All right, what clip do you want to play?
So at this point, Ebro is turning it into, but he didn't say anything about Black Americans. What? And this is the funniest thing, because if he ever did say something like that, they would just say, he's a Canadian, why is he saying anything? And this is the same criticism that No Name was giving about Kendrick Lamar when the protests for George Floyd were happening. And No Name is a Chicago artist, poet, rapper. I don't know if she raps much anymore, book club enthusiast. And she was calling him out. And eventually he would show up and start doing the whole, I think she would call out J. Cole too. But yeah, they would both show up to the protests. So that's an example of somebody, and there are probably countless other rappers we can think of that never said anything about Black Americans. And also, Drake's brand is not to be political in any sense of the word. Like, he donates to a ton of causes, like The Weeknd, for example. The Weeknd doesn't talk about anything political. He doesn't sing about anything political, but you see where his money goes and you see what he supports, and he makes sure that that gets the PR that it deserves. And there doesn't need to be anything more than that. But whilst this is all happening, Academics clowns Ebro, and I gotta co-sign it.
But what we do have a good laugh at is the haters going through what we call Drake derangement syndrome. Yes, if it wasn't already abundantly clear that these guys have no reputation, no spine, they will hate for 2 years, and as soon as their pocket starts to get a little bit dry, their rent gets a little bit too high, they will start unabashed, like they don't give a they will just flip-flop They'll fold up like a lawn chair in a goddamn wallet. They don't care. They have no type of spine. They'll go from saying Drake is a cancer to now saying they need Drake. Who would ever say they needed a cancer? I don't know.
So yeah, you cannot be calling somebody a cancer and then excited, anticipating, and being like, yo, whoa, what's going on next? And you could say it's just the music that he's paying attention to, but when you're calling somebody a word like that, you don't want anything to do with them. And the clip towards the end was him talking about, oh, that was Ebro responding to it. And the funny thing is he harps on this one word, which is needing.
Everybody out on this show said we needed Drake.
I
don't know if we're going that far, but I like him. And I like him a lot, and I like his music. So for you academics, I appreciate the promo. And for Drake, listen, man, come with this album. Let's hear it. People are very excited. You're one of the biggest artists in the game. You lost the battle. It's not a big deal. It's over. On to the next.
Yeah, because I'm curious. I'm curious to see what he comes with. And what I always said this. After the battle, all he needs to do is come back with a banger.
Everybody said that. And he did, by the way.
Yeah.
Nokia, Sexy Songs for You had a couple of joints on it. I think it was good.
So he's talking about, yeah, you know, I never said we need Drake. Well, hold on. Did you say that Drake was a cancer? Oh, okay. You did say that. Oh, okay. And then he says, oh, no, I actually like Drake. I like Drake a lot. Dog. What are we doing here, man? I just don't understand how somebody can, in their right mind, just double down like this. And he's doubling down knowing that he doesn't even believe what he initially said. At least just say, yo, my bad. I went a little bit too far. I was tripping off that one. I really like Drake music, and I don't got anything against him. That's all you have to do. And I'm not saying that he should do that because, you know, some of these stan pages will stop hating on him and stuff like that. I'm just saying that you should just do that for yourself, just to put it out there. Because somebody like me is looking at it like, why can't you just walk that statement back instead of trying to gaslight and trying to explain what you meant when you said that? No, you said the guy was a cancer, which means you don't want anything to do with it. Like, for example, if some people are saying like, yo, R. Kelly is a cancer, they don't want to listen to R. Kelly. They don't want to be around people that are playing R. Kelly. They don't want to see R. Kelly. Nothing to do with that. And that's a fair take for somebody to have. But to just say that you really like the guy and you were calling him a cancer on an entire genre, that is as far as you can take things. And he goes on to attempt to explain himself even further, and it just gets worse.
Drake and people were sitting around when Push-Ups was out, and we want to relitigate the whole thing. We was like, yo, Kendrick. It wasn't until Drake made mistakes with the AI and antagonizing Kendrick. Oh, you in the hotel room dropping quintuple entendres and, you know, staring at my picture on the wall, whatever the little ad-libs were. It wasn't until then that everybody's like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And then Kendrick started unleashing, and we were watching it happen. So I ask of you, if you can articulate the side that there is in this thing of hip-hop. What are the sides? I would love to learn.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has hardcore fans who are like, no matter what, this is our guy.
Right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That is why I talked about it being a sickness. It's because in hip-hop, you love all of it.
Yeah, but
you could critique it all.
He's not the only one.
You can dislike. It's not about him per se, but he's the biggest. He's the biggest. What other fans in hip-hop are only fans of that one particular artist that are real hip-hop fans? I would love to learn.
Yeah, the hardcore fan culture is such an interesting thing where all these people just adapt the whole identity of that.
Those are, for me, and I'll be honest, those are pop music fans.
No, but
give me a fan.
Nicki's fans?
Pop music fans. Those fans are pop music fans. Hip-hop fans like a plethora of hip-hop and are fans of whatever is dope.
People are going to call you, you're just a purist. You don't get it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll be that. That's fine. But I would love to learn. Like, if you claim to be a hip-hop fan and you're only a fan of one particular artist, or I'll even take it a step further, one particular style, are you really a hip-hop fan?
So first off, that AI track was cool. I messed with that AI track. Am I listening to it again? No. Well, it's also difficult to listen to because they caught a cease and desist for it and all of that. But at the time, taunting him with it, it sounded good. It was well written. It also demonstrates how good Drake is as a writer because the way he wrote those verses, it's how these rappers would actually rap. So it went very well with the AI voice. I thought it was a great move to bring into the beef. I don't think he messed up at all with that one. And this is the thing too. He doesn't talk about how Kendrick Lamar messed up with a fake daughter that doesn't even exist. He didn't mention that. And you even hear Laura Stiles sighing like, here we go again with this. And Ebro talking about how, oh no, you know, where's the sides of hip hop? Dude, this fractured hip hop into people that hate Drake and people that I don't even think Drake stans hate Kendrick Lamar. Like Kendrick stans really hate Drake. That's why I call them Drake. Well, there's a difference between Kendrick stans and Drake haters, but a lot of Drake haters just found this newfound land that they can voyage to and find refuge, and that's underneath the umbrella of Kendrick Lamar stans. So I don't want to attribute that all, but Drake fans, for the most part, they don't hate Kendrick Lamar. They just love Drake a lot and felt like he got attacked. So, you know, they're launching return missiles, if you want to call it that. But this broke, and when he's talking about like, oh, you see the divide I'm talking about? The sides? Yeah, the side is you calling Drake a cancer. That's the side. There was nobody calling Kendrick Lamar, you know, a pillager, any of these like ruinous things to his reputation or contribution to the genre. And I know some people will say like, oh yeah, you know, they surface stuff about like potential DV that happened. No, I don't mean that. I mean in the context of him as an artist existing within the genre. And when he talks about what other fans of hip hop are only fans of that one artist, but they're still fans of hip hop. Now, this is the thing. He's going to say, well, if you're only fan of one artist, you're not a real fan of hip hop. So he just disqualifies it right away. And that's how he would return the response. But what I would say is Eminem, do you know how many fans, and Drake is the worst example of this, to be honest. You know how many Eminem fans only listen to Eminem? They're not listening to anybody else. And even in the late 2000s, early 2010s, they were like, oh, that Lil Wayne guy is trash. That Rick Ross guy is trash. And Rick Ross is fire, one of the best rappers ever. They're just like, oh, nah, Eminem's just like the good one. So Eminem is an example of people. There are people that will only listen to rap if it's Eminem. What's another rapper that I can think of off the top of my head? 50 Cent. 50 Cent and Eminem kind of go hand in hand, but people only listening, rap fans, quote unquote, only listening to 50 Cent is more of a global thing. If you go to certain other countries, they'll only listen to 50 Cent because 50 Cent was just such a global superstar that he just transcended borders. But those people wouldn't necessarily be hip hop listeners. And that's the thing. Like someone only listening to a single rapper doesn't mean they're a hip hop listener. That's why it's difficult for me to give a good answer, or multiple people, to Ebro in this scenario. But I think the Eminem example I gave was a really good one. And I don't think Drake fans are like that at all. Any person that is in... Do you think that there are people that are having discussions on X and in IG comments within hip-hop that are only fans of Drake in hip-hop? No, there aren't. The majority of people that are fans of Drake puts on so many people and collaborates with so many people that inevitably they're going to start liking other artists and rappers. But for the most part, the people that maybe only like Drake, that's the only rapper they like, is some middle-aged mom that's listening to God's Plan. But at that point, she's just listening to one of the most streamed songs ever. It's like the same thing as Post Malone getting played or Taylor Swift getting played after that. That's probably what the Spotify auto generation is for her when she's in the backyard doing barbecues in the summer, playing it out of the speaker, and the kids are jumping in and out of the pool that you got to take the steps up because the pool isn't in the ground. That's really the only demographic, at least within the US, that you can say that, oh, nah, the Drake is the only rapper that they like. Or maybe Pitbull. Yeah, let's throw Pitbull in there. Pitbull is another example of the only rapper that somebody may like and not paying attention to other rappers. And this is rich coming from Ebro because he was a guy that dismissed a whole entire generation of SoundCloud rappers, didn't embrace them, didn't listen to their stuff, wasn't open-minded. And you know somebody that was open-minded, that was initially closed-minded, is none other than Joe Budden. Joe Budden was known to be very close-minded about this stuff and say like, nah, man, this is garbage. What the hell is this? But he he was open-minded. He checked out the music. He loved XXXTentacion's first album. I don't know if he talked much about the second album, but I know he liked his music, and there was some Uzi stuff that he liked and other artists after that. But Ebro, he just dismissed like at least 150 rappers because he wanted them to rap in the traditional sense and be able to freestyle over beats. And he was even hating on people that were freestyling over beats, and they weren't boom bap, but they still held like the traditional elements of rapping, like a riffraff, like maybe not the image obviously or the lyrical content, but when it comes to spitting bars, especially like Southern, like Houston influence, yeah, he was on that. And Ebro definitely didn't mess with riffraff. Like, he thought he was a caricature. And like I said, he did it towards the end of the clip where he says those are pop music fans, those are not hip-hop fans. To be a hip-hop fan, you have to like a bunch of different hip-hop artists. That is so rich, because what's funny is people that primarily listen to hip-hop, they listen to far narrower of a range of music than a pop fan or an electronic fan. Like, you'll see the music library, and it is because there is so much amazing hip-hop music and it's so diverse. So I don't really blame people too much, but people that are closed-minded and are like, yo, pop music sucks, especially hip-hop fans, or EDM sucks, they suck. That's it. Or country sucks. I'm one of those people that says country's not for me. I don't say country sucks. But you look at pop music, they'll be listening to everything from rock to metal to rap, obviously, to hip hop, to electronic, to techno, to jazz. Hip hop fans, mostly they're just within the bubble of hip hop. So when he tries to say like, oh, those are pop fans, no, that's a phenomenon called choosing a favorite, which happens in sports, which is completely out of music. And there are probably sports people that are like, yo, are you a fan of the team or are you a fan of the player? And there are plenty of people that are just fans of players. Like, yeah, LeBron. Okay, where's LeBron going? That's where we're going. And he can say that, oh, yeah, you can. And because the whole thing is, what is a team? Okay, the team changes owners. The team changes jerseys. Sometimes the team even changes cities. So why would you be loyal to a team when a player is actually consistent? And you know what the player is. You know what they represent. You know how they play. You like them. And you can just translate that into genres, which is like, what is hip hop? Well, if Ebro describes it as these strict rules of like 90s type stuff, then hip hop has changed and he's not following along with it. And he's just following the old model for it. It's like he's still on the Seattle Supersonics and he's a fan of them when they had left a long time ago and become the Oklahoma City Thunder. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Actually, no, I just got another thought that I must add. This guy's talking about these are pop fans. Let's just go back to the East Coast versus West Coast. You had Biggie, you had Pac, you just didn't have internet forums. I mean, people were probably on MIRC chats that we just didn't know about, or AOL chat rooms back then talking about this stuff, and there's no recorded history of it. But people were, oh no, I'm with Biggie, or no, I'm with Pac, versus they were in the same genre, and they were just messing with that music. And they were probably like, screw that guy. And they were picking teams even back then. Don't lie to me and say they weren't, Ebro. So pop fans falls apart when you just rewind to the 90s, and you've got a perfect example right there. So yeah, I just had to add that in there.